Hello, my name is Henry KAMAU. I'm a director at VBD Automotive Technologies based in Nairobi, Kenya. My background has been in vehicle technology. I was trained as a vehicle design engineer at the University of Hertfordshire in the UK, and as well as at Fachhochschule Hamburg in Germany on vehicle design and vehicle engineering. I also worked in R&D at Rover Group in the UK, and then moved back to Kenya and worked for the major vehicle assemblers. So there was a KBM that assembled a Leyland, Land Rover, Mercedes, and later moved on to GM Isuzu, where we assembled Isuzu vehicles and a couple of GM vehicles. But that later turned into Isuzu. And then and while working at GM, we also toured a lot of the assembly plants in Africa, including the plants at Port Elizabeth. I think the name has changed now. The Isuzu plants there, the bus bodybuilding plants, I think Busmark in Johannesburg. We also visited plants in Egypt, October City. So we have a very wide knowledge on the manufacturing aspect on vehicles on the continent. When I left GM, then we set up VBD Automotive Technologies with my colleague, Nyaga Kiguchi, in 2006. And VBD Automotive Technologies was initially involved in cleaner vehicles, cleaner fuels. We worked closely with UNEP on cleaning up the fuels, and not just in Kenya, but Africa-wide, getting lead out of fuel, petrol, and the sulfur out of diesel, so that the emission control systems on these vehicles would work for cleaner emissions. And then later on that shifted to cleaner vehicles where higher efficiency was demanded. We did some work with the GFEI on that as well. And finally, we're here now working on e-mobility. Yeah. We are doing quite a lot of things which are very exciting. We are having to look for innovative ways to bring e-mobility to the continent. VBD Automotive Technologies has partnered with a venture capital fund, VI Capital, based in Switzerland. And our focus is to work with corporate fleets and get them to transition to e-mobility. The only way we'll have an impact on the climate and as well as urban air quality is through corporate fleets. They tend to be the largest fleets on the continent. Personal vehicles are also considered as part of this, but the real impact comes with the transition of fleets to e-mobility. The biggest challenges on bringing e-mobility to the continent is the capital costs. Electric vehicles tend to be more expensive than their ICE counterparts. So we have to be innovative in the approach. So there are many schemes that we're looking at, such as battery swap, where the owner of the motorcycle only pays for the motorcycle without the battery, then leases the battery, and they are able to swap the battery. In Africa, motorcycle taxis are a very big industry, and there's quite a lot of potential here for the switch to e-mobility. They're also a very big contributor to poor urban air quality and health as well. So capital cost is a very big factor. On vehicles as well, and buses, we're having to look for innovative ways, charging either per kilometer used for leasing of the battery or per kilowatt hour. So different models are being experimented, and we'll soon know which works best. But this has made motorcycles and buses now really competitive with their petrol and diesel counterparts, as the capital cost for acquiring these vehicles is now matched. And we also look at the total life cycle cost of these units, where the real benefit, that's where the real benefit is, where you save you have quite substantial savings over the total cost of the life of the vehicle, what we call the total cost of ownership. And I think this will unlock the doors for e-mobility on the continent. Initially, we started our work in Kenya. That's where most of the initiatives have been across Kenya. But we're really looking towards the East African community to expand within the region. And then we'll also look at West Africa as well as Southern Africa to expand on the initiatives that we see work here, bringing a lower entry cost to e-mobility for all users. We are very excited about the opportunities for youth employment because these are new technologies. So there's a lot of opportunities. Africa has a very big problem with unemployed youth. We have graduates who can't find jobs across the continent. There are also big economic benefits for African countries where fuel tends to be the highest commodity import item, and switching to electric mobility, where most of the energy is resourced within the country, would mean a very big saving on the country's economy and reduce the expenditure of foreign exchange. There'll also be improved urban air quality, which will result in improved health as well of urban populations. So those are very big positives that we need to keep in mind, yeah. Yes, perhaps what we would say is that e-mobility is capital intensive, as we have mentioned, what needs to be considered is the entire ecosystem around e-mobility, the charging infrastructure, the opportunities for self-fueling through private installations of solar panels that can cut down operation costs. There's very many opportunities for lowering operation costs and increasing returns for many corporate operations. So this is the main reason that we really also bring this new technology to the continent to improve on productivity. Yeah. Yes, perhaps the biggest message would be for the naysayers who, on the continent, who feel that e-mobility isn't the way for the continent to go. They must remember that Africa has no vested interest in thermal driveline technologies, as we don't manufacture engines, we don't manufacture gearboxes, and these items are easily replaced by electric motors and batteries and battery management units. So there'll be no loss to jobs in the transition to electric mobility. So this is something that should be seen as a positive for the continent. I think perhaps the only thing we'd like to add is the benefit of technology transfer. That would be really big for this continent, particularly if we're able to manufacture electric vehicles on the continent, and as well as manufacture batteries. As you know, most of the resources for the global batteries are found on the continent. And it would be good if we were able to add value to these resources before exporting them, so that the wealth is retained on the continent.